Okay, we're live. Episode 10. Just working on this 1901 Steinway some more. I don't have huge amounts of time this morning, but I'm going to continue to refine it and get it ready. So the plan is I should pretty much finish preparations today, and the refinisher will go through and rub the case, make it a satin finish, and assemble everything, and it'll be all ready for delivery next week. So that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. A couple things I need to do right off is voice the unicorda pedal or soft pedal, because right now we don't have enough contrast. The audio is probably really low because I was just talking to the computer, which I muted the mic on that, but I've got sound from this one. So without soft pedal, with soft pedal, no difference. So I've already needled the hammers in the position where the hammers hit the strings when you push that left pedal. But then I went through and voiced the regular position down to about where we needled it. So now we need to needle the soft pedal position even further, so we have two strata of dynamics. So I'm gonna grab the camera over here. And you've probably seen me, if you've watched this, we've already done this once. You'll know I like to use this needle tool. It's got it's got 4 needles in the hammer shank. And I have the hammers marked with carbon fiber, not carbon fiber, with carbon paper. I used ink to get the ink on the strings and then mark the hammers right where it hits in both positions. So right now I'm just kneeling right over where the hammer's going to hit once that unicorda pedal is depressed. I should say pressed. Depressed just sounds too depressing. So I'm just giving a shove, and these needles are very close together, so they will make a definite difference in the attack of the sound. It will also affect the normal position just a little bit, but this piano is speaking out well, and I think that'll heal up just fine, and we'll be left with some contrast between the two pedals, not the two pedals, between use of the pedal and not using it, and still have a good, strong, clear sound for the regular position without using the pedal. So, you know, the hammer wears a little bit and the string grooves get a little bit longer as that happens. And so when I needle this and forward, further back and further forward of where the strings currently hit the hammer, and those lines will get longer. So that way, that kind of anticipates when the piano gets played in more, and we'll need to have more contrast there. Now here, my grooves are so close together now that I'm in the area where there's 3 strings per note. I'm not going to push as aggressively as I was in the bass. I'm just going to kind of reinsert my needle, establish some soft fluffiness just right on the upper surfaces of the felt where that's going to strike in the unicorda. Now this piano, I've aligned the hammers so that when we push the left pedal, it's not going to miss the left string on these notes with 3 strings. It's still hitting it. That allows for a certain type of sound which is more similar to just playing the piano without the pedal. So essentially it makes for less of a contrast so you don't lose all your tone. And I kind of prefer this way of doing it. for another reason also is when all three strings are struck the same, then the dampers work better. If you have two strings vibrating and the other string it did not get struck by the hammer, then when you let go of the pedal, you'll hear this zinging, or we call it some technicians call it oinking. Okay, and I mean it's a common thing in grand pianos. I wouldn't say it's a you know uh, that something's particularly wrong with the piano, but if you don't want that sound, or you don't want to have to, and you can pedal in such a way as to avoid hearing that sound, but if you don't want to have to mess with that and you want a more clear tone and a clear damping, then the way to do it is to align the hammer so that it does not miss the left string. I've also had comments from pianists playing with orchestra that they're concerned. Basically, they'll come try out the piano and see. I remember one pianist, he said, "Oh, just checking to see whether or not I can use the left pedal at all in this concert." So they come prepared to say, "Well, I may not be able to use this pedal at all if it doesn't sound good, or if there's too much contrast and they can no longer project above the orchestra, then they just won't use that pedal." And I think that's a shame, because we miss out on some colors. Hitting the hammer just kind of compacts the felt where I've roughed it up with the needles, hoping to not lose too much tone, and also hoping to the other goal is I'm hoping that I won't mess up the arrangement that I've created where it's hitting all three strings at the same time. And if I ruffle up one part of the felt and it's now, sticks out more from the hammer, then I'm worried it would, not make as good a sound anymore, because it won't be hitting three strings at the same time. Now I'm careful in that I'm just needling right where the una corda position is at its full pedal. Like I said, this will affect the regular position somewhat, and my hope is that it won't affect it too much. If it does, we'll go from there, but I think we'll be okay. Now, we've put quite a bit of hardener. I don't know about quite a bit. We've put some hardener, especially on these treble hammers, where in order for the tone to speak out on these shorter strings. And on this piano, it's been sounding really well balanced. So that's a good thing. I put lacquer with lacquer thinner and let it soak deep into the hammer initially. And we do that before, we even start regulating the piano sometimes, just because we know it's going to need some support with these hammers. These hammers are made in the Steinway factory in New York. They're New York Steinway hammers. And their character is such that they they start out a little softer and sometimes require hardener to bring the tone up where you want it. But there's some real advantages from that approach in tone of the piano. So we're going to see if these hammers are very dense now and hard. up here. They're not crusty hard. They're still soft, you know, a soft texture on the top, but they're very firm. So it creates enough energy when it hits the string to project and sustain, which is what you need up here in this treble section. Today's kind of a busier day. I've got a son that's having a birthday, so we're gonna go do something for him a little later this afternoon. But I had to do a tuning downtown this morning to concert hall, so I thought I'll do a couple hours here at the shop and move this project along. My shop is closer to downtown Salt Lake than my home is, so works well for work connections. A lot of my work is pretty close to where the shop is located here. All right, I'll go ahead and all right. Okay, we're going to push the action in and see what we have at this point. Oh, it looks like some people have joined us on the live stream. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a good Saturday. If it's still Saturday for you. Okay, that's with the soft pedal. Very nice tone. Now without. I love it. Okay. With this, okay, without the pedal, without the soft pedal. Now with a very subtle drop, but it's there. So you can definitely do things. So I like the contrast. It's there if I want to do. Anyway, okay, that's sounding good. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to listen to the, I'm going to play the una corda pedal and voice out any notes that might still have too much ping to them. After doing that initial needling, I'll just do that through the strings with my single needle, like this D. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to just stick my needle in about halfway. It's still there. And especially on the middle string. So I know where to focus my effort. So I'm going to probe around for some hard spots maybe. Boy, it's usually I'll put one needle in and we're done. But in this case, it's Not working that way. Better. Better, but still makes me wonder if I was poking the wrong line at first. There. Now, in the regular position, it sticks out still. So go ahead and voice that. Just needle that. Just one needle per. Here's with the unicorda. Very even without. Now the C sharp is sticking out a little bit. I need to go a little deeper on this first note that I was hitting. Okay, now I'll play the unicorda again and I'll keep going. Just looking for notes that stick out. I want to make sure that we help them sit down, you know. It just has a little bit of ping on one of the strings. No big deal. Except I don't think I solved it there. Let's see what's going on here. Just a little more work somewhere on the middle string. When I use the unicorn pedal, it's still hitting a hard spot. It just sounds a little raspy. Not raspy, but too bright. There. That's good enough. This one's just sticking out a little bit, a little stronger than the rest. Same here. No, I don't want to kill the. Kill the tone in the unicorn position. I just want to create the possibility of having even softer play with more glow for the pianist. Okay. All right. It's not too bright, it's just a little stronger. The piano's behaving almost too well. I'm a little worried. Like, what's going to happen here? It just sounds too good usually. It's a special piano for sure. All right. Evenness of scale is very important musically. You just it needs to be predictable for the pianist to be able to create really smooth textures, lots of different textures, and balance in different chords and notes, passages. So when it's not even, it's harder to play the way you want. And what happens is our brains say the touch is not even on the piano. So sometimes when the piano's not voiced evenly, you'll say something's wrong with the touch. But really, it's just the hardness of the hammer, the way it's bringing out the sound. Over and over, I've seen it where pianists say this piano, such and such piano, is heavy, and we voice it up. Okay, we make it so there's more tone response for the same amount of work without turning any screws or anything in the action. And they say, oh, that's much better. We didn't change the weight at all, right? We just changed the amount of work required to get the tone colors that they're looking for. Easier to play louder, basically. Okay. Sometimes some of these notes, some sparkle out a little more than others. I don't always say to myself, oh, I've got to get rid of that, because it's kind of beautiful sometimes, as long as it's not too much. This note it's pretty well balanced, but I'm going to plunge a deeper needle because so I can get both tones. I can get bright and mellow. Just a little stronger in character than its neighbors. I'm going to. To be truthful, I don't like it when a piano is too homogeneous, you know, where it's just boring or something. We've got to work on these dampers still, you know, as kind of the very end thing. So on these Steinway hammers, when they've gotten hard, I find if I do one deep poke initially, it kind of helps the thing swell out. I think it's kind of like when you bring out the tone with other hammers where you're needling up the shoulders. Same kind of idea, kind of a pre-voicing. Brings it more of a bloom, more of a glow, rather than just a me, you know, tone. And this is going to go in someone's smaller music room. It's not going to be in a big hall or anything, you know. And I find when I voice in my shop to where the piano sounds good, it's probably more often than not going to be too big for a home space in a music room or something like that, which is fine. I'm fine sending it out the door a little too big. It's easy to kind of rein it in by needling, but I think too weak is kind of inexcusable. I just want these to sound a little less thin. So I'm going to do that by kind of going a little bit that way with the needle on the top, but also deep. But that one didn't do it. So that's not the spot that I need to hit. I'm going to go the other way. Okay. It's kind of like, okay, it doesn't work. Try something else. There, that's what I wanted. One of these days I'll learn that. Now I'm just going to keep, if there's a note that sticks out in a harsh way, I'm just going to keep blending it with the others. It doesn't bother me that I've had to poke some a few times over. Tim Schultz says hello. Hiram, hello. Thanks for joining. Thanks for shouting out. I like some of this sparkle to kind of come out. I don't want to kill that sound, those higher partials. This piano, when you play it for not many hours after this, it's going to get stronger. So if I focus more right now on getting it even rather than getting the perfect ideal tone, although I'm trying to do that too, but then as it gets stronger, the hope is that it will still sound good. Sorry, I'm trying not to blow you out on the mic on the phone, and I'm sure it is, but let me pull this back a little bit. And I'm not just giving a concert here. I'm just listening to the piano and seeing what still bothers me, if anything, so that I can keep refining it. That's just kind of my approach. I'm listening to damper wires that are buzzing against the strings. There's one. I think there's only one. I just thought, oh, is there another one there? The other thing is when you poke the hammers with the needle at this point and you get rid of some ugliness of tone, then when the piano gets stronger from being played, it's not like that ugliness just returns often, but actually it'll be stronger and still more beautiful, tone quality. Sometimes the ugliness returns though too. This is another problem with this piano. Because of the geometry on it, it has to be regulated where the hammer shanks are so high off the cushions there. I don't know if you can tell, they're too high. This is really unusual. Usually when I'm doing these rebuilding the Steinway actions, we don't have that, and things work out pretty well. But this piano is set up that way. And my only other choice would be to make the keys go down deeper, and I've already pushed that as far as I want to. I don't want to do that anymore, otherwise the piano won't be as playable. It won't be as good. So I'm probably going to add some felt onto there, actually, to get it where I want it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's that way on this piano. It's kind of an unusual case. As far as the weighting and the touch, everything's good there. I'm not worried about anything on that. But I'm going to pull the action and and we'll maybe put some felt on there and take care of these dampers first, though. And we're getting really close here. Actually, I'm going to put the action back here out of the way. So I can access the dampers. Okay. So first concern was the damper wire that was buzzing. Hello, Jeffrey. Welcome. Let me get out my damper tools. We're going to also do a little more refining of the damping. Certain notes where there's 3 strings and it's not damping one of them as well. We're going to address that. Might as well while we have it out. And then I want to do a final tightening of these dampers. Unfortunately, we're using the old parts on the back action on this piano, unfortunately. And I mean, it's old, they're old parts, right? So the screw stop, when I screw it in, it's harder to get that damper secure where it's not going to move around. I'm going to attempt to, but you have to. Well, I always say, don't fight the quality of parts. Don't spend too much work on something that's not going to respond in the end the way you want it to. Don't try and force it, but make it work, right? And if in the future, if someone wanted to replace the back action on this piano and they had the money, they could for sure. It wouldn't be undoing too much what we've done already. All right, so the try and get the camera closer to the strings here. Don't know if we'll get where we need to on this. Let's see. But let's find the one that's hitting. It's this one. That noise is the camera block, so don't pay attention to that. But so we have enough room on this damper hole, guide hole, to lean the wire to the other side that way. so that it won't hit the wire. And that's all we have to do in this case. So I'm going to take my wire bending pliers. I'll take you down here with me. And I'm going to make a bend to lean it over that way. And I got to find which one it is. There it is. Okay. So I'm just going to exaggerate this lower bend more to where when it's up, it's now leaning against the other side of the hole. But now because I did that, I need to make an opposing bend to make it go straight again. And so it's lifting off the string, because right now, what was the result of that? It's now the head is jumping. If I can draw attention to it, this one, the head now jumps to the left. Okay, so we're going to make an opposing bend on it on the upper bend of the wire here, and try and correct what we did there. There it's still wanting to hit, still able to hit the string. So I kind of just have to keep going back and forth a little bit till I get the right combo of pressure on the other side. And I might space the head over a little bit. So in this case, I'm just gonna space the head over with my damper hook. I'm gonna reach up in here and grab the neck of that and twist it over the opposite way to the right, to my right. Let's see if we got it here. That's pretty close. Now it just has a little bit of a twist to it. Let's see if we can get that. Now it's just twisting a little bit. The back goes to the left and the front goes to the right. Let's see if I can enlarge your view here. Okay. So there's just a little bit of a twist now on that. So I'm going to reach down with these guys, grab the wire and twist it the opposing way till it's straight. Went a little too far. Okay, now the head just needs to be spaced over, I think, a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Otherwise, the right string will sing a little bit compared to the left. So again, with my damper hook, just a little bit of work there. There. And the wire now doesn't hit the string. Let's make sure there's not any others. I'm just going to hit them really hard. No, I think we're good there. Okay. Now the only other thing I don't like. Okay, let's check. Well, let's refine some of these dampers in this section. So we're looking at. I'm going to just pluck some. Let's see if I can get you a good angle there. Sorry. I'm going to pluck some of these. Well, first of all, I'm going to run back of my fingernail along this. I heard this pitch, but it's been damping well. It's probably just because it was a little. I don't know why. Anyway, that's actually pretty good. This damper is a little. This damper right here lifts a little bit early, so I'm hearing the note shut off a little bit late than the rest, but it's not that bad actually. It's pretty uniform. I'm gonna leave it actually. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now then is just pluck some of these with 3 notes. This one Okay, I need that right string to damp better, and I also notice though that the damper head is twisted a little bit. Let's see if this makes a difference. And my screw is way loose on this one, so I'm going to tighten this guy more so that I can't change his adjustment. Oh, that worked pretty well. But even with that, the right string is singing. So I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to squeeze. The right string was singing. That means this right wedge couldn't seat deep enough into the string. So I'm going to squeeze the left wedge so that the damper falls a little bit lower and the right will make contact. So just a little bit, and this is just with these tools here, the squeezers. I'm just going to squeeze not all the way down the groove, just a little bit, okay? And if I want, I can trim it because it makes it longer then. So if I want, I can trim it with my scissors here. But when I trim it, the felt kind of springs back and will make it fatter again. So I need to follow up again with just another little squeeze. All right, let's hear it now. See if it's any better once we get it together here. Okay. Got it timed the way we want. There. Now I plucked in the opposite order. Now it's good. Now this next one, that's actually good enough. I'm not going to bother with that one. That one's not good enough. So that one's the right string. So we need to squeeze the left wedge again. Hopefully you can kind of see this, what's going on. I'm going to squeeze the left wedge. And sometimes I don't bother trimming the felt unless it's going to be unless I feel like it's going to be a problem with the damping. Okay. Let's see here. I just need to tighten this. Take out the twist. It's there. Now the damper head is leaning on me a little bit. I need to space the head over. Oops. Better, but the damper head's leaning, and I think that's part of the issue here, so I'm going to fix that before I worry about pulling it out again and squeezing one side or the other. I want to make sure the damper sits right. There. It still sings a little bit, but not nearly as much as it was. Not like that. That's what it was doing. So if I want to take it further, which actually, honestly, in this range of the piano, we're probably not going to notice that, but I'll take it further. So we're going to squeeze that same side a little more. Just a little skinnier, and this time I am going to trim the felt with my scissors. Okay. Trim and a secondary squeeze. And I didn't trim straight, so I'm going to trim again. Okay. Let's see what we have now. And of course, tightening it, I twisted it, so I got to untwist it. Just plan on that anytime you plan on retwisting anytime you're moving, taking dampers in and out. Okay. There, okay. Good. we'll go ahead and fix that one. Little squeeze. On rare occasion, it is possible to squeeze it like too far, and then worst case scenario, and then so then what you'll have is you'll basically have the both sides of the three strings. Both sides will be singing, but there's a way to come back from that. You can just the way to come back from that is just you can cut the slit in the wedge with a razor blade and make it a little deeper, and that spreads the sides out so they make better contact with the side strings. And then if that's not enough, you can put a piece of floss, dental floss, or a string in that groove to keep it spread. And that's usually enough then to damp the sides again. I don't think I've ever had to replace a felt because it was squeezed wrong. If anything, you'll probably have to be doing this again later down the road. That's better. I'm going to go with better now and keep fixing the worst ones. Okay. So this, wait, that one, it's the other string. It's the left string. So I need to squeeze the right wedge. This one you can really see, I feel like, the wedge thickness difference, I think. This top one's skinny and the bottom one is fat. I got to squeeze the fat one. It was just really visually obvious there. I pointed out. So squeeze, trim, squeeze. Now they're a little more uniform in thickness. Let's see if it's enough. Okay, just tighten that up. Get rid of the twist. There. It's still singing a little bit, isn't it? Oh, you know what? The other side is singing. So talk about going too far. There, that's what happened on that one. But that's no big deal. Look, when I squeezed it the second time, that felt side is a little long now on the right side. So if I trim it again, just trim it flush, it'll spring back and be a little wider right there. Okay. Often. It doesn't always work, Okay. In my hastiness, I almost massacred that felt, but it'll be okay. No felts were killed in the process of making this film. Okay. Let's see what's going on there. See the front to back tilt. Maybe I need to. There we go. Okay. Well, now I'll demonstrate what I was telling you, because just trimming the felt didn't fix the singing of it. I mean, it was enough. Like I was saying, it's enough where you're not going to notice that much, but First, I'm going to squeeze from lower and trim this up a little better because I did kind of do a little bit of damage to the felt. I want a nice clean edge on it. I was trying to go too fast. Okay. Then I'm going to take a razor blade. And slit the groove there. Here's the blade already out. There, this blade is already out, so I'm just going to stick it in here and just go. Okay. Now it's spread much more. So you can see how spread that is. Now we'll take a listen. The higher the note in pitch on the scale, the more forgiving it is, like for damping usually. It's usually the lower ones that are going to cause more problems because they have harmonics, right, that excite other strings. I got to tighten this down. Fix the twist on it. Let's see where we're at. Fix the front to back. There we go. That'll get cleaner too as we go. But the head is jumping over because I don't think it's at the same angle as what we had it before. There we go. That's the twist it needs. I'm not worried about that little bit of ring. Like even these, you're not going to notice it. It's not going to be a note continuing to ring or anything. And if I'm wrong, if I play the piano, I can come back and visit those. This is a lower note. It's kind of making a harmonic there. So I will address that one. We'll pull that one out. And it's the right string that's not quite getting damped. So I will squeeze the left ever so gently, right? Oh, this one has double wedges on it. That's right. Okay, let's see where we ended up there. All right. Okay, get it in the strings here. Tighten the screw. My screwdriver. Let's see if that's enough. Yeah. Now I need to get rid of a little bit of twist. Twist it a little different. I'm going to hook this one over a little bit. I'm still hearing that harmonic, but I don't think it's from squeezing the felt. I think I'm just going to space the head over. It's just the way it's coming down on the strings. There we go. That's a nasty harmonic. Let's see. I think this one is the tilt. When you hear a harmonic, it's higher. You can pluck the string. Let me see if I can get where you can see my hand here. Oh, sorry about that. Let's see if we get this. Okay, so this one has a harmonic. Have to do this left-handed. You can put a little pressure on the back and pluck it. It's still there. Push pressure on the front. It goes away. So I'm going to tilt the head different. There. Got rid of that harmonic. Okay, I think all the damping in that area is pretty good. If I notice anything in playing, I can fix it. Got an early damper here I need to fix. That was just one I worked on, I think, just now, right? So that's why it did that. Still a little bit early. So a damper that lifts early is going to damp late. So that means you're going to hear that note shut off after everything else, and you don't want to hear that as much as possible. You want them all to shut off kind of the same time. Okay. Here's some early ones up here. I'll go ahead and fix those. Okay. One more here, maybe. That's one I need the pliers help with. Okay, that's better. Now let's listen to the treble, because before the treble wasn't damping well. But before I do that, there are some that I can just twist with my hand. Like this one. I need to tighten that. Down on the screw here. Okay. There. Let's see if there's any others. This one a little bit. I just want these adjustments to be permanent. And normally with new dampers, I can make it perfect. But these, the screws don't want to hold them very well, the wires. Okay. This note confuses me to no end. It's gotten a lot better, but it's kind of singing. And it's a flat damper. And it's not like one side or the other is off the string. I checked that. So I'm going to see what is going on. Like, is it just the weight of the underlever not being heavy enough? You know, the back is floating a little bit, but let's see. That helped the one corner, but not the other one. So it's the damper's free. It's not sluggish or anything. So this one's kind of a puzzler to me, because this just doesn't happen with flat felt. So I'm going to take a look underneath here. I'm going to see what's going on. You know, and I've got these stitched felts, so they maybe don't lay down quite the same. This is interesting. I'm going to feel if there's any kind of glue stuck on there. No. Okay, I think that the damper underlevers just don't have enough weight to damp it very well. This is an older piano, you know. Who knows what the standard of damping was then, you know, if it was the same or, you know, or if the damper, who knows? I have no idea. You know, and the head's not tilted or anything. Let me fasten it to the I'm going to fasten it to the underlever. I mean, if anyone watching the stream has a thought, you know, you're welcome to share it if you have an idea what's going on. But this one is puzzling me. If I have ever run into this before, I don't remember what was the deal. Okay. I mean, I could pull strings up higher, but then they'll be out of level with the hammer. We already leveled them with the hammer. So one thing, I'm going to try something kind of rugged. I'm going to take a strip of 80 grit sandpaper and put it under here, and I'm going to put pressure on the damper that's not working. No, still don't like that, you know. Let's try the follow through of the damper. It follows the string if I push the string. Look underneath again. You know, it's like, what's going on with this? I'm going to look underneath and see if I can spot anything obvious. The way it hits the strings. You know, the underlever is a little lower than some others. It's early right now. Let me make that later. Just make sure it's not sitting on the tray down there at all. I don't think it is, but just want to eliminate everything here. Okay, this is my hunch. My hunch is that it's hitting the inside. It's resting on this inside wedge sitting up higher and not on the end here, so it's not damping as well. So I'm going to rough up that side too. Rough up this front and back just a little bit. Okay. So this is kind of ugly, but that will get compacted and find a place over time. So let's see if that did a thing at all. Okay, I just need to tighten that. Okay, I need to twist it. Sounds promising. We'll see here. Gonna tighten this screw more. Twist it again. No. If anything, it's worse. Okay, I'm gonna tilt the head. It's my right side. The side to my right is what's singing. So I'm just gonna tilt the head that way and see what we hear. It's better, right? I'm making the tilt less extreme so that I can catch that left one. So now the left one's singing and it was the right one before. String. Right. Let's try it now. No, that's back where we were. So I just need to tilt a tiny bit. Now I'm going to see if I tilt extremely one way or another. if it helps me, okay? I tilted to the front, didn't help the back. Let's see. Okay, I think that's close, so I'm going to go a little. Okay, I'm going to try something unconventional that I've never tried before. I'm going to try and push this down on the string and try and make kind of an indent where the strings are, and then make a razor blade cut if I can, right where those strings hit. See if that will kind of encase the strings a little better. So I can see my cuts on the bottom of the felt, the impressions that I made. And I can always get another damper felt if this experiment, goes awry. But I don't know what else to do. This is brand new for me. So I'm going to try and cut, and it's the right side. It's mostly this side. I'm going to try and make a cut right where it hits that string. And I don't care how pretty this is on the bottom. There's no reason to be pretty. Okay. All right. This is just an experiment. Never done this before. Okay, now all this fluff, I can just kind of, trim it off, take it off, whatever. And if anything, hopefully that fluff will help us actually damp better, But I don't want to leave too much on there, or the damper head will be way higher than the rest. Okay, so I'm just trimming that a bit. I can trim the sides because those might look a little unsightly from the top of the piano if they're not trimmed. To the front. Okay. All right, let's see what this gives us, if anything. I don't have a real practical way just to add, weight to the underlever. And the underlever's not sluggish at all. It's totally free. Okay. So that's not what's going on. Okay, so I tried as best I could to make slits in the felt where the string will make contact. Wow, this is unbelievable. Okay, I'm going to tilt the head a little bit. That one way that works. Except now it doesn't work. So we're not really gaining anything here, it would seem. What's funny is it's not, and it's some of the other damper heads here, the treble too, are doing similar things. I'm going to tilt that one also a little bit. And it's not like one side or the other magically fixes it. Let's hear it with my finger. Okay. Mm. These underlevers already have a lead in them. I have to make a decision here whether to call it good or not. We've made minimal, if any, improvement on this one. All right. All right, let's see what that sounds like with the piano in. Let's see if we can live with that. Sometimes when you work on dampers, sometimes you get so hyper focused with what's ringing that you take it beyond what's needed. So let's see if that's the case. Let's hope that's the case in this with this piano. And there's not a real practical solution that I would want to do, you know, like besides doing something hokey and, you know, super gluing some artificial weight on the top of the underlever. I mean, maybe that could be done in a classy way. Hey, maybe I should. Don't worry, that click is, you know, that's just because of something else. The only one I can't live with is this very end one. And part of it might be that the hammer is just able to bounce up and, you know, yeah. I think I had some extra. I wonder if I could cut some extra wedge felt and then just solve the problem that way. I think that's probably the best solution. Let's see if that works. I don't always know what to do right off. When you rebuild pianos, you run into weird stuff sometimes. Okay. You know, and sometimes solutions, you know, don't become apparent right off. But I think this one's going to be a good one. So I'm going to take these felts off, and I'm going to get off the. I'm just going to do it with a razor blade carefully, and I'm going to put a wedge on the front of one of these. Let's see. It's generally not a good thing when you misplace your razor blade. There you go. Let's see if this will do it. If this doesn't do it, I'm quitting. At least for today. Get a fresh view on it. when we removed these felts, initially the original ones, we used steamer, heats the glue and then they come off. Okay. Doing a little scrape here. Get that off. And cut into a bit more. I'm gonna get a chisel. Scrape it with a nice sharp chisel here. Oh, even that is stubborn. Secret to doing something like this, getting this stuff off, is not cut yourself. That's the main thing. Just about did. Okay. I'll maybe run the heat gun on it for a second. I was just thinking that doing these live streams maybe in the long term might not be a good idea because I might start talking to myself all the time, whether the camera's rolling or not. And I'm a little bit worried about that. Okay, we're gonna get this hot. It just softens up the glue a little bit. Makes it a little rubbery for a second. So then it kind of peels off the wood. Working okay. Sorry, I know you can't see this, but yeah, it just makes the glue softer, kind of rubbery. Almost pick it off with my fingernail now on that side. So we're getting it clean here. I'll go to the other side. Ouch. Plenty hot. Okay. That might almost be good enough. Now I'm going to get some damper felt. And I just need some of the wedge stuff for three strings. I got a nice long strip of this. You know, you can buy it like this, and I can cut what I need. Then I have some more damper felt here. And I'll just take a piece, a suitable length piece, new stitched felt, and we'll use that. But if you'll excuse me for a few minutes, I gotta go see a guy about a horse. I'll be right back. Oh, someone had a suggestion on the chat here. Don Pryor says, have you tried a solid one piece of felt as opposed to two pieces? No, I haven't. I could do that maybe too. I do find that I feel like when damper felts are, in general, when they're split, it'll damp better. On the higher strings, probably doesn't matter. But I could, that could be done too. But let's see what happens with the wedge. And if that doesn't work, let's go to your idea. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Now you don't have to watch me dancing around with my getting to be old man bladder. Okay. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. Okay. So we're going to take a good size damper felt. And these all look about the same. So that I have here, so it doesn't matter which one I use. Then we'll cut a strip of the tricord felt here. And let me grab a brand new razor blade just in case my old one's not so great. Sharp blades is a very important thing for quality work, right? So I'm just going to cut a little wedge. Let's see how big this head is. I have room for actually quite a bit. Yeah, I'm going to cut it kind of sizable. There, it's about the same width as that other one there. Make sure I got the right kind of felt. Yeah, there's a split. You can't see, but there is a slit in the middle of this felt. I'll spread it there. So it's wedged. Okay. All right, let's move that on. Let's see where we're at. And remember, the front of this damper is the wire goes to the right side on the treble. So the front of this damper is here. I'm kind of reminding myself, not you, but you know, I'm pretending like I'm reminding you. Okay, backside for the flat. Yeah, I can't remember ever running into this issue before. But nonetheless, we're running into it today, right? So, okay. Okay, so we've got our felt glued, our wedge on the front and our flat on the back. I'm going to let that dry for 2 shakes. And I'm going to show you, the problem with the action that I was telling you about where the hammers are too high off the cushions. Let's see if we can get that solved while we're also doing the you know, what's that called? The damper. Okay, I had a hole in my bag somewhere, but these felts these are rest cushion felts. If I can hold on to it, and this is a rest cushion, so we're in the right place. Okay, if I just put one more of these felts on, now that's ugly if you're used to what a piano looks, but that's close. It's a little too high, right? We don't want it resting on there. It's got to be off there a little bit. So let's see if I tear one of these down or cut it just a little bit with my scissors. I'm just going to do a test. Just going to cut a little layer. There we go. This felt is in layers and it kind of peels off, but when you peel it, it doesn't peel very clean, okay? So, okay, it's still too high. Still too high. Let's cut it again. Okay. There. That's a little more reasonable. Now, what's the point of that? To me, the point of it, I think my repetition's going to be better if it's able to bounce off there instead of bouncing so low. What happens is the jack goes out from let me show you. If the jack here, right here, goes out from the knuckle and then the hammer swings down really low, the jack can get caught. So let me see if I can simulate that for you. Okay, so here the jack escapes and then this swings down really low and it can get caught. And you see the jack up here in front of the knuckle and it won't reset and it takes a minute. Okay, so the result of that is if you do really heavy playing repetition, it might get caught. So if we put half of this on there, and we'll glue it on, of course, and then that'll be just right. So I'm tempted to just do that real quick. I'm going to see if slicing with a razor blade will work. Because if it will, then we can use 2 halves out of 1, and we can kind of conserve with what we have here. So we'll give it a try. Okay. Now these, like I said, these are in layers. Now the top, there's a top and a bottom to them. I'll just destroy one for you if I fan out the layers here. It has a direction to it. See that? There's the pages of the book. So you want it to where the hammer string is supposed to hit where the layers are flat, right? So it's hitting on flat layers. Okay, I'm just gonna try and cut this in half. Yeah, that's fine. And then I'll use the more sightly half on the top, right? And then the fluffy bottoms that got cut will glue better to the layers down below. So I'm going to do that. You just have to make sure they're facing the right direction, that I don't cut against the grain. Instead, I cut with it. So I just need 88 of these, and that's it. Too bad one of you's not with me here. You might lend me a hand and cut these real quick, but so far so good. I will want to make sure when I glue these on that I don't get too much glue and get like a hard spot in there that would make noise or something. So we'll probably be okay. This is pretty good thick pad, thick cushion. There, we're able to solve two problems that involve felt while the action's out once. How about that? Maybe while I'm cutting felts, if you have any questions or comments, this would be a great time. Or curses, whatever. If you need to set me straight on something, feel free to do that too, I guess. Actually, this will be the last thing I'll do, but I'm kind of anxious. I was supposed to leave at noon my time here, but I'm just going to wait long enough to glue these on and see how it plays, and then we'll call it a day. I think I can get away with that at home. So. If you've been watching this week, you might wonder if I ever go home because I've been streaming so much, and I do, and I prefer to be at home. I just had a lot of work to do, and I just thought, let's just stream it all, see what happens. No, nothing from the peanut gallery, huh? No questions or answers? When you do something like this, it's a little less clean, right, of a job sometimes, but I always try and make sure I do things that look, professional, and just the way they're cut. I want to make sure they're all going to look good laid on the existing felt. Wow, this blade is already getting dull on felt. Okay, maybe if I did. Let's get out a new blade and cut it on this block here. Let's see if that makes a difference. Oh, new blade makes such a difference. Wow, that's amazing how fast that got dull. Isn't that amazing? Weren't we just saying that a sharp blade is so critical to making something look professional and quality? And here we are seeing it in action. Don Pryor has a explain why the rest felts are not high enough to begin with. I assume you have the hammer height set already. Never have run into this problem with Steinways. Well, with the older Steinways, you actually the older actions, and not when I say older, I mean even from like the 60s, you'll see the hammer shank pretty high above the rest cushion when the action's working and regulated right. And yes, we've already set the hammer height. And you have to have some aftertouch, and you don't want too deep a key dip. The dip is already a little bit deeper than what would be current Steinway spec, but this piano was built in 1901. So why are they so high? Well, maybe the string heights are different on this piano. Either that or the stack is set differently, right, than what we normally see. So I don't have to do this regularly on rebuilt Steinways, so either. So that's a good question though. But yeah. Oh, there we go. I pushed a button on accident. Sorry about that. So yeah, you know, right now when they switched to Hamburg repetitions or whippings in the New York pianos now that they're making, the cushions are too high on those Hamburgs, and so right now they have to cut them down. Um, it's all the action setup. I'm not gonna. I didn't get into the numbers, and at this point, the piano plays well enough and sounds so great. I'm not too worried. It doesn't bother me that I have to do this. I guess the parts are not made for rebuilding pianos so much. They're made for current production. If I'm starting with a new keyboard and fitting an action frame and all that, I'm going to get a lot more picky about where the boarding distance and everything is on these. But I find in most cases the current production parts can be made to work really well on these older actions. You know what I just realized on this piano, the whippings or repetitions, the part that has these cushions is not, those aren't Steinway parts. I'm putting in Steinway shanks and hammers, but the repetitions are Tequiwa. So maybe it has something to do with that. But again, it plays really well, so I'm not going to complain. Let's see how many we have. Really close here. I think we only need like 3 more. There's 2 and 3, 4 for an extra one. Okay, we're going to glue these on over at the action. Jesse Balboa says, since the action is out of the piano, can you explain why hammers bounce and cause a clunky sound? Yes. At least I can tell you why, a common thing that I see, why they sound clunky. These hammers won't sound clunky if I just go like this. Notice those are perfectly whisper quiet. Even if I, but if I go like this, throw it down, right? There's a little bit of noise from the keys hitting the back felt. Okay. If this felt is really, really hard, that's a noise reducer. Okay. So I can use the old felt most of the time and not have a problem, but that does have a noise to it. So if you know, but this isn't the main common one. But this can be replaced for noise reduction. That's what the felt is for. The other big culprit is the knuckle. Depending on the era and the type of material that was used on the knuckle, they can get hard and crusty. And you wouldn't think it, but look, when they hit the note, they jump off of this part and then come back down. And when you release the key, there's actually a bounce. And you would think it would be like down here in the cushion, down in this part, that would make the noise, right? Where it contacts that. But it's not. Usually, most of the time, it's hard knuckles. So the solution is to replace the shank and hammers or just the knuckles with newer, softer material, and that usually reduces that action noise. And that's the noise that I'm talking about you hear on release, which I think is what you're talking about. And even if the piano's not super, super old, there were some eras where they used a kind of part that got hard faster, and it sounds really clunky. Okay, we're going to glue these on. And this isn't rocket science, obviously. I'm going to put my glue on the part I'm putting on, just a drop, confirm my height. And that's great. I don't need it to be that much high. I don't need it to be, what am I saying? It's okay if it's just barely higher than the cushion. It's still being supported by the hammer. And after this glue dries, I can tear the cushions down a little bit custom for each one if I need to. Okay. All right, I think we're just going to go wholesale with this. Okay. Grab those pieces. And again, I don't have to do this. The piano played really well in just about every respect, and it even repeated pretty well. But I like to send my pianos out where, you know, ideally you can play the most difficult repertoire on them and be thrilled. That's kind of my goal in rebuilding pianos. The actual function of the instrument, just making it awesome to modern performance standards where possible. So I'm making sure that I get the nice looking top on them, that it's oriented the correct way. And Jesse, I mean, in general, if there's something clunky, something's gone awry with all the felt pieces on the action are for noise reduction. That's what they're for. And so if something's clunky, essentially, if you replaced all the felt parts, it would no longer be clunky. If for some reason it was a special case and you know, it wasn't the knuckles or whatever, and you couldn't figure out where it was coming from. but I think it's the knuckles. There's also a button, I'll show you. This button on the jacks, when it's regulated a certain way, if the jack is regulated too far this way, after it lets off, look, it comes away from that spoon. And if this is hard, it'll slap against that spoon and make a noise too. This isn't too bad a job, gluing these felts on. Whoops, sorry about that. My bad. Okay. Okay, we're going to do more glue. Just a drop. I've said it on another stream that gluing felt can be challenging because it's hard to know the right amount because a lot will absorb into the felt and not leave enough surface sometimes to be tacky, or it's too much and it absorbs through too much. Like that glob's too much. Take a pinch off of there. There, that's better. Okay. Now we need some felts to put on there. I can't see the computer. I'll go check if there was another comment or anything, but I think we're good. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found time in your day to peek in here and see what's going on. And drop these down just right for the height on that. I'm liking it. I put that one on upside down. Good thing I have an extra. Someone commented that they had never seen this issue before in Steinway's, and I was saying, even in pianos from not too long ago, I have this issue. In fact, I just remembered I did a video. I don't think I posted it yet or edited it. It was quite a while ago though, and it's a performance instrument at the university where I tune, and it had this issue. It wasn't this extreme. They weren't this high off the cushion, but it had a repetition issue, and when we added material underneath, that resolved the problem. because the jacks couldn't get stuck any longer. I think you learn pretty quickly if you do this work that there's a difference between the ideal world of design and then the reality of making it work after post manufacture. And you have to be willing to go there and just make it work. Otherwise, you just sit there and feel disgruntled all the time. Okay, let's see how those are doing. Great. So that's a good distance now off the shanks. What am I filming? Oh, the camera's been backwards this whole time. Sorry about that. So sorry. Okay, let's try this. I thought, oh, good. This is good. Anyway, this is you're staring at my messy part action work card over there, but that's a better distance right there. Let me put these globs in here. A little more on that guy. So if after these dry, there's any glue blobs hanging off the side that might somehow rub or something against the neighbor and make a noise, I can just slice them. But it's easier to do that when it's dry. So I'm not going to worry about it yet. But I don't think that's even going to happen on these. Okay. All right, one more section to go here. The only reason I put up with how long this takes is that I'm so excited to see the results and their implications musically. And since these, the only forces that are acting upon these pieces of felt are the hammers hitting down on them, bouncing on them, I don't need to wait for glue to dry or anything. I can stick it right in and play and see how it's going. Okay, I need some more felt. I must have dropped some on the ground or something. Need to cut 2 more real quick. All right. And last one. Great. And now that's not so high on there. Now we're going to go ahead and put our problem damper child back in the piano. Sorry about that. I cut the phone off the signal there for somehow. Okay, let's see what we got. Here's our damper problem. So we'll stick this back in. Oh, this flange cracked a little bit trying to tighten it there all the time. I have to do a quick glue on it. Okay. I'll show you where that cracked. Because I'm trying to get these so secure. I'm trying to get them secure with and I can't do it by tightening the screws very well. So right on the top of that, when I cranked it with the pliers, it cracked. But if I just super glue it, it'll hold, and if I'm careful with it. So we got to do that. Need to get some pliers, squeeze it with as soon as I get some glue on there. Just need to test this a little bit dry. Okay, good. Just spread it a little bit. I'm going to put a drop in the cracks on both sides and let that run in a bit. Now I'm going to clamp it with the pliers and spritz it with a kicker. And that's going to cure the glue instantly. And voila, no more crack. Okay. I will have to be careful with that though, tightening it at this point. I'm not going to push my luck on that one. These old parts are not easy to, you can't just unscrew these parts out and take them out and switch it for another one with these old ones. With the new types of underlevers, yes. Okay, let's get this damper in. Get it into the hole here. All right. Put it into that hole. Get our felt in. It's going to be a lot lower apparently with this other felt. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. Let me see if I can find a different felt. Okay, maybe this felt is a little taller, but still, it's because the wedge is going to drop down lower, so it's just going to look different than the rest, than its neighbors. Unfortunately. And okay, I'm going to tighten this in a bit. We may have done it. That you know what's weird though about this? The wedge isn't even penetrating into the strings yet very much. I actually have to tilt it to do that, but it's still damping so much better, right? So now I know I'm not going to do it today, but if there's any others that are singing too much that bother me, I'm just going to take that approach with it. Okay. All right, let's stick the action back in and see where we're at for the end of today. You gotta make sure you get all your tools out and junk from the action cavity. You don't have any problems. All right, let's get the action. I don't know why it didn't occur to me right away to just put a wedge damper in there. I don't know, but that's okay. We came across the solution eventually. even though it's stopping the string sound well, I can even get some of the other notes to sing. And the reason is the hammer, when it, if I hit it really hard and short, the hammer bounces up again and the key bounces also. You can get them just about all to do it. So the solution, the reason, so anyway, the key bounces and then the back of the key back there hits the damper again and lifts it while there's still enough energy for the sound to keep going. Now let's look at when the damper lifts here. It's not super early on this piano. Okay, if you can look through there and watch a hammer lift, it lifts to about there, and then the damper starts to lift. Okay. Well, on this piano, I think we need to time the dampers later if we wanted to eliminate that. Which, well, I'm also going to try and just tilt the head forward more. Okay, that didn't work. Grab this, see if I can tilt it back. It's better. It's not great. It's not great. I may try and time these dampers. Sorry, I didn't realize the sound cut out. I'm not sure at what point it cut out. Hey, Taylor. I'm streaming. So anyway, oh, you're fine. I'm wrapping up. So the conclusion of that was that that I'm going to try and add weight to the damper underlever to see if that'll dampen it better. But it was pretty good otherwise. And you can have a piano that sounds great, but if it doesn't stop the sound, that's the other half of music. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut out, but I'll hit it again next week.